Hello, hi everybody. We will start today's live stream. Hope you're doing great and happy to welcome you at our next live stream where we share our thoughts, our different updates from the Web3 world. So today I wanted to share some regulatory landscape updates that came up during the last quarter. I think it was quite interesting what came up, and also quite interesting to discuss what could be the influence of those updates, of those regulatory updates, cases, lawsuits, etc., on the future development of crypto. So I'll share a presentation with you. I'll start by reiterating about us. So Dima, I'm representing as a general partner at 3x Capital. We are a digital asset investment and advisory firm. We are focused on early stage Web3 ventures. We also have a 3x Club, which is a community of individuals where we invest together. As for my personal experience, I've been a lawyer in the past. I've led a business accelerator for 6 years. I've started a community for legal innovators called Key Legal Hackers Community. That's part of the world's largest community for innovators, which is represented in more than 200 cities. And I started my journey with crypto in 2016, where I started working with startups, but also investing in crypto bit by bit. So that was my personal journey. So I think we can start with the agenda for today. It should not take too long. I would like to share with you three main things that is about SEC. Of course, we know this is the main player on the market. Some updates about Mika, markets and crypto assets, and some updates that came up about Tornado Cash and A16Z supporting Tornado Cash. Of course, some other news happened, so I'll share briefly a few other updates with you. By the way, if you have any ideas on one of these topics, I would be glad if you could share your comments or your ideas, maybe some sources. That would be wonderful. All right, so I think we should start with a recent update on ECC XRP case. I'm not sure if you were following this case, but that is an interesting case where SEC sued XRP in 2020, and they said that XRP were actually not only selling tokens, but they were sued for selling unregistered securities, right? So unregistered securities offer. That happened in December 2020. That was the start of the case. Then in February 2021, Ripple fights back. They filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit and arguing that XRP is not a security, right? And here we go, the developments. Then in July 2021, SEC files an amendment complaint, right? So they said that Ripple had engaged in ongoing public offering of XRP, and they recklessly disregarded the securities law. Okay, that was the next step. Then in December 2021, Ripple filed a motion for summary judgment, arguing that ECC has failed to prove that XRP is a security, right? So we, has some nerves, and they're fighting back, which was interesting. Then in May 2022, SEC and Ripple had a mediation hearing, right? And finally, in July 2023, U.S. District Judge Torres ruled that XRP is not a security with regards to selling it on exchanges, right? So one positive thing is it was ruled out that XRP is not a security when in the context of selling it to users through exchanges, right? But at the same time, the second part of the conclusion, or just conclusion, was that actually XRP were involved in unregistered offer of securities for institutional investors, right? We have two sides of the coin. We have some positive development, but of course there is a downside. So why it is important? I think it creates a precedent, and of course it may lead to fundraising approach change, right? So it means that if institutional investors were investing in tokens, it was a trend for a few years. Now probably they would not be engaged anymore in investing in tokens solely, because they may be referred as unregistered security trade. So of course institutional investors would like to avoid that. So this is a case where definitely we would have some proceedings. ECC may, if they would like to appeal to the court decision, but probably they will not. We'll see how it will develop, but that's definitely a step forward, right? And if we are talking about ECC, I think we should also say that ECC was quite active, right? So during the last quarter, they filed 13 charges against Binance, CZ, and affiliate entities. Binance had a small win because they were able to unfreeze the assets that were immediately frozen by the SEC complaint. So that's a small win, but still we have to see how it will evolve in terms of the cases themselves. They're not closed, they're ongoing cases. Then ECC charged Coinbase with operating as unregistered securities exchange, right? And the same happened with Binance, right? But also another controversial thing just happened where SEC have gave approved custody digital asset securities license um, for a company that is called Prometheum Amber Capital, that is not really known on the market as a big player. So that caught a lot of people by surprise, right? And a lot of people were surprised. What is this company? What is behind them, etc. So this is not a big hit market. Bigger players applied, but they didn't get the license. Why is that? And we still will see how it will develop. So that was an interesting case. ECC is powerful, of course, but the interesting thing is there is some pushback, right? And the pushback is quite strong at the moment. We had few people that were pushing back, including Congressman Torres. So I like his quote. He says that ECC is acting like an overzealous traffic cop, arbitrarily ticketing drivers while keeping the speed limit in a secret, right? So it means that we should have proper regulations by rules or guidance, but not by enforcement. That's what happened during the last quarter and frankly, I would say during the last year. So we'll see how it's gonna go this battle. That was the news number one. Of course, news number two was that Bitcoin spot ETF have been applied by multiple players that hold more than 30 trillion in assets altogether. All the consulting investment companies, including BlackRock, the biggest of them, which has 10 trillion. And you see why this is important. I like this meme, that SSC is holding back trillions of investment money that is held by BlackRock and other institutions from Bitcoin. We'll see how it's gonna go. We have a specific timeline for that. So there is specific steps to be taken by ECC, and they have each step has a regulatory date. So the next date when ECC will be able to approve, deny, or extend their decision or extend time to make a decision would be August 12th. Then we would have September, end of September, then December, and then their final decision should be expressed on 23rd of February 2024. And I would like to remind you that on March we expect to have Bitcoin halving, which is definitely one of the biggest events in the crypto cycles. So you can imagine what may happen if we would get approval by SEC combined with Bitcoin halving. Okay, let's move from SEC and the US. Let's move a little bit towards Europe. We also had interesting developments in the regulatory landscape here. So I think all of you heard about MiCA, which stands for Markets in Crypto Assets. That is a regulation that overarches all the countries in Europe. So it is a regulation, a pan-European regulation that establishes how crypto businesses are working. It came into force on 9 July 2023, right? So it was adopted, but some provisions will come into force starting 30 June. That would be mainly about e-money tokens and assets reference tokens. And the biggest and most important part of this regulation will come in force in the end of 2024, right? And why it is important? I think it is important both for EU and US because it drastically changes and influences EU crypto businesses and businesses that are connected to those. So for businesses that are doing crypto and they're based in the EU, they will have a lot of compliance work to be done, right? So it will include registration, well, assessing if the MiCA is in scope of their activities. Then they would need to apply for authorization, implementation of MiCA, in their requirements, in the processes of the companies, in internal systems, but it also includes updating contracts with counterparties, frameworks, and possibly re-entering into agreements to comply with MiCA. That's as for European businesses, but for non-EU businesses, it's a little bit easier. We will have non-EU businesses that wish to carry on their crypto asset activities within the EU or with EU customers. They should consider how territorial scope of MiCA is working. Right? And of course, for now, in so-called MiCA 1.0, there are some loopholes, like reverse solicitation rules, for example, similar to other legislation like MiFID. For financial services, there's a reverse solicitation rule, which allows European clients to solicit business from non-EU firms. And in this case, if they directly express their interest in non-EU firms, then MiCA could be avoided. And of course, regulators would like to change that. So while MiCA is still not in full force, there is already going on some discussions about MiCA 2.0, right? And that would include some updates like cover crypto asset staking and lending, DeFi, and of course assets with unidentifiable issuers such as Bitcoin. It plays a prominent role in the ecosystem that is still not regulated by MiCA. So a lot of people are happy with MiCA, but it is still being updated and it is the process that takes a lot of time. Nevertheless, I think a lot of players in Europe are happy with it. Why? Because at least it gives some confidence and it gives a level playing field for players, and it will make it much easier for companies to enter the market and to understand how it is regulated. So it makes the European markets more identifiable and penetratable. So that's about Mika. That's what's ahead of us. All right. The third topic that I wanted to share with you is about Tornado Cash and how A16Z is supporting them. There was an interesting development. Just to remind you that Tornado Cash is an open source and non-custodial, fully decentralized cryptocurrency mixture, right? Or coin anonymizer. They can break the identifying links in blockchain transactions for all EVM compatible networks. So the interesting thing that this open source, right? But still, it was sanctioned by OFAC, and it was blocked. And developers who were part of the development team of Tornado Cash, they even got into jail. There is a proceeding going on in the Netherlands with one of the co-founders of Tornado Cash. He recently was released on probe, but still the case is still ongoing. And what happened with A16Z, they filed a document in support of Tornado Cash that is called amicus brief. That is a document from non-party to the court case, which supports and provides some arguments that the court can take into account. And A16Z, they made few arguments in support of Tornado Cash. First of all, they were vouching for importance of privacy, right, in the well-functioning internet. So it is a pillar where which should be taken into account. The second thing, which is more specific, is that OFAC used its sanctions and authority against Tornado Cash software. Right, it is the first time that an open source and decentralized software code has been targeted by US sanction, right? So this is something really new that never happened before. And then they're saying that FOG is basically exceeding their statutory authority, right? Because FOG should be sanctioning transactions involving any property, and property and Tornado Cash and its code is not a property in terms of the legislation that is applicable. But then also another argument is that no one has an interest or ownership of Tornado Cash since it is an open source, and actually there were already done some forks of Tornado Cash on the market, right? And that all brings us to the conclusion that A16Z and other investors and players, that they are very interested in having an open and open discussion about privacy of blockchain and what are the limitations of statutory possibilities of OFAC and SEC as well, right? And that the open source code should not be banned, it should not be sanctioned, because it is an open source layer, and protocol layer should not be punished because it is the ground for proper internet. Well, let's see how it's gonna develop. That was one of the things that happened during this quarter. And that's the three main things that happened during the last quarter, but also, of course, there are a few other things. So they are coming back to the US. So I've noticed that both Coinbase and OpenSea had and their respective product manager, head of product at Coinbase and head of product at OpenSea, were actually convicted of money laundering. So probably you don't want to be a product manager in Web3 companies because US have been chasing them. I'm just joking, but this is something to consider that people were actually not fined but sentenced. So it takes it to a next level and it's quite serious. Right, so it is another push for AML, anti-money laundering, and very client procedures. So you should be aware that this is U.S. authorities are quite serious about it. But also, it was US was not the only one who pushed for AML. Actually, Estonia in 2022, in March 22, they increased the level and they strengthened their AML requirement. And since then, they had 80% decrease in registrations of crypto firms in their country. So it also shows us how AML procedures are strengthening the procedures are influencing the business. So definitely influencing in a negative way. So we expect there should be some kind of balance, right? Because otherwise, if 80% of business goes from the market, nobody wins from that. But AML is important, so there should be a balance, and I hope legislation in this quarter will strike this balance. We will see how it's gonna go. And last but not least, a few other countries that had prominent developments were China and their city of Beijing. They published a white paper on Web3 development, and quite soon after that, Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission announced that they will accept crypto trading platforms licenses applications. Right, it's been going on already for already 2 months, and there are a lot of businesses that would like to join Hong Kong and get their license. So they say that it may be a breach for China re-entering the crypto and Web3 again. Brazil was also quite harsh and before, but now they actually selected 14 institutions to participate in the central bank digital currency pilot. And XRP is actually playing a role in that. XRP is now actively promote themselves as a provider for central bank digital currency layer, right? So they're helping a lot of countries to establish that. So that's in short all the updates that I wanted to share for now. Let's see what we have, what kind of other questions do they have? Do we have? So we have Gloria from Paris. Hi, Gloria. Good to meet you. All right, we have Kellen. Kellen, by the way, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on XRP. I think that was a great article. I'm curious to know your opinion. How it's gonna go with ICOs and IDOs market? To be honest, I think it will negatively influence the market, but we'll see on the developments. Okay, hi from London. Okay, so Frankfurt. All right, I think that's it. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, and our team members who is now in Paris in ECC. There is a great conference out there. And the last but not least, I also would like to thank everybody who is joining our educational efforts, who is helping out the community and joining the educational course that we are now developing to promote deeper knowledge and deeper assessment in the community. We're doing a 12-week educational course, which is called Web3 Startup Fundamentals. It started as an internal program, and now we're promoting it as an external product. So kudos to those who joined. You still have a few days until the end of the week to join. You can find more information on our LinkedIn profile. All right, so I think that's it for now. Thanks a lot. I don't want to take too much time and be, in front or between you and the weekend. So thank you so much for joining. I'll be happy to talk to you. Please feel free to drop me a message about latest developments or your thoughts on the mentioned topics. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and I wish you a wonderful weekends. Cheers.